It's my honor to call forward her son, David.
Thanks to each and every one of you for being here. Last night, I thought about what I wanted to say at my mother's funeral, and my usual or normal manner of public speaking is that I get up and I tell a joke, and then I just trust the universe that whatever comes out of my mouth after that will be appropriate. It'll be the right thing to say. But today, I wound up writing a speech that I would consider to be what I'll call a very Jewish speech. And I did that because my mother, my parents, led what one could call good Jewish lives. And people say, well, what does that mean? What is a good Jewish life? Is it going to temple? Is it seeking forgiveness from God? Is it being obedient to a higher power? And I think a lot of people do pigeonhole religiosity into those sorts of activities that you could just classify as worship. But my mother did more than that. There's an expression in the book of Proverbs where it describes Eshet Chayil. And incidentally, that chapter of the book of Proverbs is one of those chapters that, this is a great word, that is an abecedarian. An abecedarian is a poem where each line begins, the first line begins with A, the second line begins with B, the third line begins with C, and so on. And that chapter of the book of Proverbs is an acrostic or an abecedarian. I just couldn't speak without imparting or including some odd bit of trivia. At my grandmother's funeral, my father used that term, Eshet Chayil, but he pronounced it in a Yiddish manner, something like Esh Chayal. And it's interesting because Chayal in Hebrew means soldier. And in this meaning, it's to be valorous, to be a woman of valor, an Eshet Chayil. Incidentally, in my life, I don't know that all the women I know aren't women of valor. So what did my mother do specifically to warrant my use of the term Eshet Chayil, woman of valor? Well, she raised sons and their families in the years to come, but having no female children of her own, she always said that the only thing harder or worse than raising all sons would have been raising all women. And she also said when she was pressed as to who was her favorite son, she'd say, yeah, what's his name? Yeah. And I think these whimsical ways of looking at life were the way my mother valorously dealt with life, and also valorously dealt with 71 years of listening to my father. So my mother led what I've termed a good Jewish life as an Eshet Chayil, as a woman of valor. A woman of valor. But the question is, how is that enacted? How does one do that? And more importantly, why? And I think, as opposed to simple worship or belief, I think it's more akin to assisting with tikkun olam. Tikkun olam is the Jewish concept of that we are here, each and every one of us, with the mission to heal the world. And in tikkun olam is the concept that let's make this world a better place than what we found it, which is always a noble endeavor. And the question is, so how do we do that? How do we all participate in tikkun olam and healing the world? And the answer is we act appropriately with regard to things like we don't litter, we make sure we recycle, we're not wasteful. But the Mishnah, or the what's called the oral teachings of Judaism, the Mishnah, has a lesson in what it takes to participate in Tikkun Olam and participate in healing the world, and what it takes to be a woman of valor. The Mishnah says there's three concepts, and the words they use is there's three concepts that support the world. And those three concepts are Torah, which we all know what the word Torah means, but it's not only following the Torah or the law, it's the importance of learning in our lives, lifelong learning, and of course adherence to the law, which is in practice, really, what is that? It's supporting the dignity of others, helping others, and helping move humanity forward. That's the larger meaning of this word Torah. Avodah translates purely as work, but it's not just work. It's the service we do for others. And the third one, I always love this word, is gemilut chasadim. Gemilut chasadim, some people translate it as the giving of charity, but I think it's more than that. Gemilut chasadim is acts of loving kindness. And the giving of ourselves, the enjoying of having guests in your house. And most importantly is the comforting of those who are in mourning. These are the practices that my parents and especially my mother followed in contributing to helping to heal the world, Tikkun Olam, to being an Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor, and to leading what I previously described as a good Jewish life. Anyone that knew my mother knew that she personified these tenets of life as part of who she was and who she will ever be as a benchmark for all of us to aspire to. I'm certain that my niece Holly, who's going to speak in a moment, and that Rabbi Weil has spoken to the many, many things my mother did to help her community and to assist those around her. So I'll cut my speech short with one final thank you for my mother's caregivers at the end of her life. Marianne and her partners are to be thanked and lauded as angels. They were angels of mercy in their efforts to help my mother. In the last few days, walking around the apartment community that she lived in here in Northbrook, every single person we met, every single person we ran into mentioned the same thing, that my mother was kind. It's something really to aspire to for all of us. My mother was good to others. She demonstrated what on my first grade report card was called good citizenship. She demonstrated humility and, most importantly, compassion for others. Friends, I leave it to each one of you to strive to live a life like my mother did and my father did. Be kind to others. Make the world a better place, not only for yourselves and for your families and for your friends, but for all inhabitants of our world. Our children, the people that we don't even know that are yet to come. That's what I consider to be having led a good Jewish life. I hope the same can be said about each and every one of you.
Thank you, David. Amen to that very meaningful remarks that, of course, we all need to hear. Thank you so much. It's my honor to call forward granddaughter Holly. Thank you, Holly.